Jason? Thanks for having me. How you doing?
Good. I can't complain. I mean, as anyone else should, is that the real estate market's really hot right now, right? And recently saw an article. I think we were talking about it, about how there was someone who put down a down payment on a house, sight unseen, and it turns out the house wasn't even for sale. That was
Bonkers.
absolutely crazy.
Yeah, there's all those like weird phishing scams that people do. And I've had people never do it with an actual house for sale, but I've had people take my nice photos of a beautiful house and put it up on Craigslist and act like they're renting it out and that they want to, they care about who rents it and they'll rent it for cheap. They just want it to be done fast. And then, yeah, I've had, and we're not involved except for that they stole our pictures and then people
Right.
find us and start asking us about it. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. It's all fake. But yeah, so I've seen people lose a little bit of money on a rental scam, but I have not heard of this down payment situation. And like I was telling you, I mean, the thing about a genuine real estate transaction is somebody's got to be holding that escrow. Like it doesn't just go to the seller. So if you're ever in that situation, first of all, sight unseen is nerve wracking.
Oh my goodness.
Um, it does happen though. I mean, especially during COVID, we would have people, just ask to get a video walkthrough of a place and do a FaceTime and they would make offers, sight unseen in person, with not seeing in person. But yeah, but usually when you're doing the down payment, it's being held by Compass or whatever brokerage as an
Right.
escrow or by one of the attorneys. So red flag if you're sending the check to like Joe Schmo,
Please make it out
unmarked
to
bills.
cash, please. Just make it out to cash.
Yeah, exactly. Just
No.
smash. Yeah.
Yeah, so I
Thanks.
mean that's obviously a big thing because I know you represent people who not only already live in this area, but there's some people who don't live in this area who are moving here for work or great institutions that we have around here. Like, what are the tips for some of those people? I mean, obviously, going with a very reputable broker such
Yeah.
as Compass is definitely the way to go. But what are some other tips you can give people to kind of give them an idea of what they should be doing when they're not living in the state necessarily, they're coming here?
That's a great idea. So yes, I think just getting your kind of network established. So, connecting with a local realtor or a couple, like if people are, say somebody's relocating to Boston and they realize how the public transportation works and, they really want to be north or south of the city because they want to be on one of the, commuter rails or from the south, they can take the boat up from, I think it leaves from Hingham or wherever.
It's like,
They kind of have their target, but they might have an agent in each of those areas that can kind of be their boots on the ground. So that's a great place to start. And I'll always tell people to like start to infiltrate like Facebook groups, like join some of the different, town groups and get a feel for, what the makeup of people are, what the conversations are, what the hot buttons are. And then, if possible, try to do sort of a reconnaissance, trip, come. And that's what like our agents will take people out for days. They'll come and say, today we want to tour, these three towns, and then we want to tour these three towns and, drive by the schools. I always say go to a local coffee shop and have, a coffee or lunch. And just,
okay.
again, you kind of get a feel for what people are like when you're out and about or you're going to a park or whatever. But it's tough. And it's funny because you can't always take things at face value. Like one time we had a client coming from California and they had always heard about Concord, right? Because Concord's like right over there. We're in Bedford, but people often know Lexington and Concord because of the revolution and all the history, right? So they're like, oh, we just love the idea of Concord. And then they started doing a little bit of research online and they called me back and they were like, Suzanne, why would we want to live in Concord? There's a prison, there's a Superfund site, there's an airport, there's train tracks everywhere. And I was like, but it's like one of the most beautiful picturesque towns with a brand new high school. It's like one of the best areas ever, but that's why you just have to really know, where, yes, those things exist, but every town is going to have something that is less than perfect and you just have to sort of, work around it. But it was just and then, of course they ended up buying in Concord and they love it, but it was just, it's like they say that like doctors are busier than ever once like WebMD came out because people would start to go online and self-diagnose and then they realize they actually really need a professional, right? So,
Right.
I guess you can only find so much stuff online, and to be able to have a real conversation with, somebody, whether it be an agent or a resident of that town, I think is really gives you the insight.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's such a big purchase, and not only when someone goes with you, they can feel confident that they're not going to be frauded out of their money, but also really have that personal touch to really kind of go and ask the right questions. That was like, is this what you really want? Because those are the things that you don't even think about until you move there, and then they're gonna be like, oh wait, I didn't know this was going on, right? So you
Oh,
have that experience.
totally.
Things.
Yeah. And like the commute, I mean, that's been a big thing because, say, 2.5 years ago, that was such a huge factor. And then it sort of changed. It was, it's changed in a big way. But like I have some clients, I wasn't involved when they came here. They came here from California. They bought a house in Bedford. And they both work in Cambridge. And now that traffic's starting to pick up again and they're having to go back into Kendall a lot more, I'm going to be selling their house in Bedford. And we got them a gorgeous new construction in Winchester
But
because they have 3 little kids. And she's like, we're spending an hour and a half a day, like at least in the car.
oh,
Um, so sometimes people move here and then, something changes or they didn't, think about that. So yeah, we always try to hit on, yeah, what is your commute? Is it going to be changing? Or even if you say you're moving here for one job, but who knows, are you in a location where you have access, there's a lot of other biotechs within that, commutable area, or there's other high tech, anything along 128, et cetera. So, yeah, there's so much. I mean, I live in Bedford. I grew up here, so I've never left. But I have worked with so many people that have moved like from across the world, and it's, it's,
but
it's huge.
now I understand your reach is obviously very wide, but what are the areas in terms of towns that people should really be thinking about you in terms of engaging your services?
Well, thank you. So I always say I'm like the Route 2, Route 3 corridor, right? So I just got it's a little late to meet you because I was talking to a potential client from Arlington. So, we go as far kind of east as Arlington, Waltham. Like if it's Cambridge or Boston, I refer it out because it's just not my specialty. But I
Right.
have great agents that specialize there through Compass. And then, coming out to like Lexington, Bedford, Concord, Carlisle, Lincoln, out to 495. So Westford, Acton, Stowe, and then again, like kind of Route 3, Burlington, Billerica, Chelmsford, Westford. So that's our main cup of tea, if you will. But some exciting thing happening with our company is that we're expanding. So I actually put a listing on in Duxbury this week.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, so one of my best friends is our South Shore agent. So she's doing South Shore and the Cape. And then I have 2 agents that are licensed in New Hampshire, and Compass just announced a big launch into New Hampshire. So southern New Hampshire, Portsmouth, kind of that area. And then again, if it's north of there, I have referral partners up in the Lakes region because a lot of people are still interested in buying a second home. I think that's bigger than ever because again, they can, work from there, and maybe they're not as interested in traveling right now, but they want that place to get away. So I refer a lot of people up to agents in like Kennebunk, Maine, and Conway, New Hampshire, and places like that. So
Yeah, and I love the personal touch that you have, and also that you have understanding of the important things for growing families, right? Or people who want to start a family. That you obviously raise your family there. You know the schools, you know the areas, you know where to avoid, you know where people want to live. I mean, that's a really nice touch because I know that for a lot of my friends who are moving from the West Coast or a different state, those are the most important questions that they have. Well, what about the schools? What about this? What about that? Or what about some things they might not even be thinking about. So that is the personal touch I think that sets you apart.
well, thank you. Yeah, and it's true. And I've learned, yeah, my kids are 8 and 14 now, so I've seen too how your needs change, and I'll always try to talk to people about that too. Like when your kids are super little, you think it's never going to change and you're always going to need that, big playroom or whatever. But then I remind people, yes, like you need to find a house that maybe you can transition. Eventually you're going to need more homework space, or you're going to want some more away space. And, just people's needs are changing as their kids are getting bigger. Like I was asking this woman from Arlington what her kids are into, because, certain towns are known for certain programs, right? So if a town's really strong in their music department, or they really have a really good football team, or they have a really good robotics team, or things like that. So yeah, it's just that and I agree, it's like, again, as much as we have great technology and whatnot, especially at Compass, but it's like that local, like real estate is so hyper local, and you have to know your markets inside out, and then also know how that fits on to the bigger scene, right? So, oftentimes we do have people kind of relocating from the same areas, so we know kind of what it's like, where they're coming from, and what they would assimilate to best, in this area.
Well, last question, probably the toughest one you're gonna get. It's winter time. What's your favorite winter activity?
Oh God, counting down the days till till summer. We have snowmobiles, and we have some land here we have this old crazy farm. So I do like when it snows, because I get to go out with the kids and we ride the snowmobiles around, and we have there's like a little pond we can walk through in the woods and go ice skating. So I like that kind of stuff, snowshoeing. But my recent thing, maybe because I'm getting older, but I don't love downhill skiing enough to get hurt.
Mm.
So I wish I loved it. But we're a summer family. We have a boat and a little place down the Cape, so we just live for summer. So probably not a great answer, but I will say, I mean, I love, today's a snow day. Kids are home and it's cozy and it's fun. So I do appreciate those moments of winter, but I'm always like, all right, March needs to just get out of here. Bring on June. And what about you, Jason?
I mean, I same thing. I never learned how to ski. I always played hoops growing up, so my basketball coach always frowned upon us skiing during basketball season. So I never learned. I am kind of the same way. I do like the snow in terms of going out there and making snowman with my kids and stuff like that. So I guess that's the funnest part, when they're excited about the snow.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of fun to see like their excitement and the snow forts, and just have kind of like, I like when they cancel school the night before, like they did last night, because at least
Right.
like everybody's home, we can do stuff on Zoom, works out. But yeah, I'm definitely ready for 80 degrees, sunshine. It's all good. Love New England.
Well, I'll talk to you soon. Hope to have you back again.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity, and have a great weekend, and thank you so much.